Today I'm going to talk about shortages and how to actually assess what's going on in the supply chain in a nice, fast and easy manner so as to work out if shortages are becoming a problem for your brand or your product. I'm going to assume that you're working for a pharmaceutical company rather than being a pharmacist. If you are a pharmacist, then you might find this interesting anyway, but it'll give you an overview rather than a precise definition of where you are in your particular market, in your particular part of the world. So let's start at the sharp end in terms of what's going on out there with the suppliers and what they're supplying to pharmacies and dispensing doctors. So this is Wave Data Live. It covers the last 35 days of priced offers to pharmacists and dispensing doctors, and it allows us to see what's going on. There's about 100,000 prices pushed in here each month. So let's start by actually looking at a generic product, Candistatin, this time, and let's try that and see what turns up. And I want to look at the 16 milligram because I know that's a slight issue at the moment. So what we've got here is we've got a list of the different prices that are being offered. These are the wholesalers that are offering it. About halfway down we see the drug tariff, the reimbursement prices for England and Northern Ireland. And as you go down the page you find other little bits of information over on the left, like short dated, like who the manufacturer is, and there's a mixture of bits of data here. Most of them are price lists, they're blue or white. The green lines here are actually copies of invoices we've picked up from pharmacies or dispensing doctors. So as we go down we see more data and we see prices going up to £7.49, and dispensing doctors actually turn up in brown or possibly yellowish on your screen, and you can see the tariffs in that's the tariff in Scotland, and you've got the two England and Northern Ireland here. What you will notice is that the majority of the prices are well above the English drug tariff, which tends to hint that there's a bit of a problem with supply. Now it's possible that an NCSO price will be granted, concession price will be granted in the next few days. It hasn't as yet. So that means that pharmacies are going to be doing their damnedest to get prices less than 81 pence if they're in England or Northern Ireland. They have a slightly wider margin in 2.15 in Scotland, but you can see an awful lot of the prices are quite high at the moment. This is a snapshot in time. If you're looking at this 3 or 4 months hence, that the situation may have completely reversed itself. But at the moment, this is a problem for pharmacists. It's a problem for supply. And you can see that we've actually got 50 records on this page. Now, I think that's down from last month, but we're looking at a snapshot in time. We can't actually see that at the moment. But let's go back a step and actually have a look at the brand and see what that's doing. So if we put Amias in there, and then I'm going to choose the 16 milligram pack again. There's only 8 lines of data there. And you can see the vast majority of parallel imports. There's one line of data that's saying it's my med offer, and saying it's a UK pack. You know, it's possible it is a UK pack, but it could also be a PI, parallel import, masquerading, or not with enough clarifying data on it for us to be able to be sure it is a parallel import. So we've got 8 lines of data there. We've got 8 priced offers that we've been able to pick up from the marketplace. But again, we're dealing with a snapshot. Is that low? Is it high? Really, to understand this, we'd have to look back in time a bit. So our second service, and a better way of looking at data over a longer time period, is called Pharma Touchstone wavedata.biz. So the first one was wavedata.net. You can see it up there. So I'm going to go into wavedata.biz now, which covers the last 6 months of data, and I'm going to try and do pretty much what I've just done. So I'll go over to the advanced menu here. I've already got Candistatin clinics till in that box there, so it's turned up on the record count, which is actually what I want initially. So that's giving me lots of data. Let's actually put 16 mg in there because that's what I'm trying to do. So I could filter down on customer type, but I don't want to. So let's have a look at these numbers. So back in October we had 30 and 48. That's 61, I think, and it's declined ever since to getting towards the 30 mark. So the number of offers, market offers, has actually declined quite seriously in the last few months to approximately half of their current value. So that's for the generic form. The branded form Amias was 8 back then, and then 10, and at the moment it's about 6. So it looks like the brand is actually declining slightly as well. If I was the brand manager for Amias and I had stock, I might be considering that actually I might go to the market and say, come on guys, why don't you buy our brand instead of the generic? Because we know there's an availability problem with it. If Amias has a supply problem as well, then it might be a target for a competitor brand to say, actually to launch a campaign with GPs, for example, and to persuade GPs to start prescribing something else because of the availability problems. So they might, for example, take on a field force for a few months. So these are the kind of things to keep your eye on. But again, we've looked at the trend over time with the record count. Let's actually go back here and let's have a look at the prices over the last few months and see if they are following suit. Because if there's less stock around, you'd expect the prices to go up. I'll put 16 milligram in there, see where I get to with that, and perhaps make it all rather than breaking it down. So what we've got here is quite a big increase in the price of the generic. So it's gone from 79 pence to £3.07. The brand goes up and down a bit, so it's less affected by the shortage or a potential shortage than the generic. But you can see that when the availability, the number of offers goes down, the price tends to go up, which is a fairly straightforward thing. But we could also look in the very long term. We could look at our last service, which covers the last 10 years. So if I log in here and fiddle around a little bit, I've got to actually find these products first of all. So let's look at product names. So do some filtering here. Yes, so let's do that, search for that. And the 16 milligram, actually we've got 2 of them. Let's aim for the 28 pack. Was it the 28 pack we were looking at previously? Yes, it was. So 28 pack, and 30 might turn up as an import occasionally. So that's the first one. And then we do Candesartan, do the same with that. And 1628 again, apply that. And then what I need here is, I'm not going to break it down into PI and UK, I just want to see the overview as to how the availability situation is and the number of offers that have been pushed out and the number of bits of data we've been able to collect across the UK. So we've got actually a show chart button here. So if I click that, that should in a few seconds give me a chart. So let's scroll down to that and see how it fares. Well, actually that's quite interesting. It shows that the generic was fairly commonly available until fairly recently, and now it's plummeting. The number of offers we're seeing is plummeting like a stone. The brand is possibly a prescribing pattern with a peak way back in 2011, and actually it's relatively flat at the moment, but there's not an awful lot of noise about it, perhaps because it's so heavily infiltrated by parallel imports. But that gives you an overview. One of the things we're also thinking about is going back to this website, is to find a way of taking data out of that to provide to pharmacists to give them clues about where they might actually find stock. So if I go here, open a new blank page and see if I can get this to run. So the idea is that this particular website is something we've developed or are developing as a spin-off from our Wave Data Live service. And the idea is it will help pharmacists to actually categorize how bad a shortage is, and potentially pharmaceutical people as well. So it actually looks at instances where the prices are above the reimbursement price or above NCSO price, for example. Probably the way we present this for pharmacists would be to take out a lot of the columns. So we just have the reimbursement price in here and then a categorization. But the important point is that if they came across a product and wanted to know where the stock was, by clicking it or clicking a lookup somewhere would allow them to say, well, the majority is at AAH, Newmark have got got quite a bit of stock, Alliance have got some stock, Peter have got some stock, and so on. So rather than phoning blind, they'd have a better chance of actually finding the stock. And potentially we might put phone numbers on here or email addresses or something like that. So the idea is to try and save pharmacists a bit of time and allow them to find the stock when they need it. Thanks for watching. Bye.